Right now, in kitchens across the country, millions of seniors are consuming something that medical researchers have linked to accelerated cognitive decline, chronic inflammation, and compromised immune function. The most alarming part? 93% of our elderly population eats this every single day without realizing the danger it poses to their health and longevity. This isn't some rare toxin or exotic ingredient. It's hiding in plain sight in foods specifically marketed as healthy choices for older adults. Foods that doctors often recommend, foods that well-meaning family members purchase believing they're supporting their loved one's health, foods that the billion-dollar food industry has deliberately engineered to appear beneficial while masking ingredients that are silently damaging the bodies and minds of our most vulnerable population. What makes this situation particularly tragic is that many seniors are actively trying to make good choices. They read labels, they follow their doctor's advice, they choose products advertised as heart-healthy, sugar-free, or senior formula. Yet these very efforts to eat well often lead them directly to the most problematic foods. A cruel irony that leaves millions suffering from preventable health conditions while believing they're doing everything right. The consequences extend far beyond minor discomfort. We're seeing epidemic levels of dementia, diabetes, heart disease, and autoimmune conditions among our elderly population. Conditions once considered rare are now commonplace. Medications that treat symptoms but never address root causes are prescribed at staggering rates, and the quality of life for millions of seniors continues to decline while healthcare costs skyrocket. Think about your grandparents, your parents, or even yourself in the future. Every day, with every meal, millions of people are unknowingly consuming ingredients that scientific research has linked to accelerated cognitive decline, increased inflammation, and compromised immune function. The food industry has carefully masked these ingredients behind clever marketing and confusing labels, and the consequences are devastating. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on this hidden danger. What you'll discover in the next few minutes could dramatically change how you approach your daily diet and possibly add years of quality life for yourself and your loved ones. This isn't about fear-mongering, this is about empowerment through knowledge. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what these harmful ingredients are, where they're hiding, and most importantly, the simple swaps you can make starting today to protect yourself and your family. The foods we're about to discuss are likely sitting in your kitchen right now. They might even be part of your daily routine. But once you know what to look for, you'll never see your grocery shopping the same way again. Let me take you back to last year when I met Margaret, a vibrant 78-year-old who had always prided herself on eating what she thought was a balanced diet. She exercised regularly, stayed socially active, and followed all the conventional wisdom about healthy eating. Yet she found herself battling chronic inflammation, digestive issues, and worrying memory lapses. "I don't understand," she told me. "I've done everything right. I've avoided junk food, I eat my vegetables, I choose products labeled heart-healthy and natural. What am I missing?" Margaret's story isn't unique. Millions of seniors across the country follow what they believe are healthy eating guidelines, only to find their health deteriorating despite their best efforts. The truly alarming part? The very foods marketed as healthy choices are often the culprits, and it's not just affecting seniors. The damage from these foods accumulates over decades, meaning that what you eat in your 20s, 30s, and 40 years sets the stage for your health in later years. That's why this information is crucial for everyone, regardless of your current age. Think about your own diet for a moment. Do you consume packaged foods with long ingredient lists? Do you opt for convenient, quick meals? Do you choose products labeled sugar-free, low-fat, or heart-healthy? If so, you might be unknowingly exposing yourself to the exact ingredients we're discussing today. Let's examine the science behind why these common foods are particularly problematic for aging bodies, though they affect us all from the moment we start consuming them. As we age, our bodies undergo several significant changes that make us more vulnerable to certain food components. Our metabolism slows down. Our digestive enzymes decrease, our ability to detoxify harmful substances diminishes, our inflammatory responses become more pronounced, and perhaps most concerning, the protective barriers in our gut and brain become more permeable. The research published in the Journal of Nutrition and Aging has demonstrated that certain food additives and ingredients can exploit these age vulnerabilities, creating a perfect storm for health decline. The study followed 1,200 adults over the age of 65 for 5 years and found that those consuming high levels of these problematic ingredients experienced cognitive decline at a rate 2.5 times faster than those who avoided them. Another groundbreaking study from the University of California examined how these same ingredients affected inflammatory markers across different age groups. The results were eye-opening. While younger bodies showed some resilience, the inflammatory response in participants over 60 was significantly more pronounced and long. However, even in younger participants, regular consumption led to measurable increases in chronic low-grade inflammation, a precursor to many serious health conditions. The science is clear. These ingredients are problematic for everyone, but they're particularly dangerous for our senior population, whose bodies are less equipped to process and eliminate them. So what exactly are these harmful foods that 93% of seniors consume daily? Let's identify the main culprits. The first and perhaps most prevalent category is ultra-processed foods containing artificial ingredients. These aren't just obvious junk foods like chips and candy, they include many products marketed as healthy options. The danger lies in ingredients like artificial sweeteners, high fructose corn syrup, and certain preservatives that have been linked to disruptions in gut bacteria, increased inflammation, and even changes in brain chemistry. When I visited a senior community center last month, I noticed something concerning. Nearly every resident was consuming some form of ultra-processed food, believing it to be a healthy choice. Grace, an 84-year-old former nurse, showed me her pantry filled with diet crackers, sugar-free puddings, and heart-healthy breakfast bars. My doctor told me to watch my sugar and fat, she explained, so I choose these healthier alternatives. What Grace didn't realize was that these healthier options were actually filled with problematic ingredients her aging body was struggling to process. A particularly troubling example is aspartame, found in many diet and sugar-free products that seniors often choose, thinking they're making a healthier choice to manage conditions like diabetes or weight gain. Recent research has linked regular aspartame consumption to increased risk of stroke and dementia, particularly in individuals over 65. Yet these products continue to be marketed as health-conscious choices. The deception runs deep. Food manufacturers have perfected the art of making ultra-processed foods, not just palatable, but addictive. They employ teams of food scientists to create the perfect bliss point, that precise combination of sugar, salt, and fat that triggers dopamine release in our brains, similar to what occurs with addictive substances. And seniors, whose taste buds have often diminished with age, are particularly vulnerable to these hyper-palatable formulations, and they frequently find themselves reaching for foods with stronger, more artificial flavors to experience satisfaction from eating. Another major culprit is refined carbohydrates and hidden sugars. White bread, pasta, rice, and many breakfast cereals, even those labeled whole grain or heart healthy, can cause rapid spikes in blood sugar that are especially problematic for aging bodies. These foods are converted to glucose almost immediately upon consumption, creating a cascade of inflammatory responses that can damage blood vessels and accelerate aging processes. What's particularly deceptive is how these refined carbs and sugars are disguised in products aimed at health-conscious consumers. A whole grain bread might contain added sugars and refined flour as main ingredients. A protein bar marketed for active seniors might contain more sugar than a candy bar. A vitamin-enriched breakfast cereal might be primarily composed of refined grains that convert to sugar in the body almost instantly. I remember visiting Catherine, a 76-year-old with type 2 diabetes who was meticulously following what she believed was a diabetic-friendly diet. Every morning, she would have a bowl of heart-healthy cereal with skim milk and a glass of orange juice. For lunch, she'd prepare a sandwich with whole wheat bread, lean turkey, and low-fat mayonnaise. Despite her dedication to healthy eating, her blood sugar remained uncontrolled. When we examined her food choices together, we discovered that her supposedly healthy breakfast caused her blood sugar to spike higher than if she'd eaten a candy bar. The whole wheat bread contained more refined flour than whole grains, and the low-fat mayonnaise compensated for lost flavor by adding sugar. The third category involves certain vegetable oils that have become ubiquitous in our food supply. Oils like soybean, corn, cottonseed, and canola are found in virtually every processed food product. These highly refined oils are rich in omega-6 fatty acids, which, when consumed in the disproportionate amounts typical of the modern diet, promote inflammation throughout the body. The human body evolved with a specific balance of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids, ideally maintaining a ratio of roughly 1:1 or 4:1. Today, due largely to the prevalence of these industrial seed oils, the average American consumes these fats in a ratio closer to 20-1. This imbalance creates a pro-helmulate state that exacerbates nearly every chronic condition common in senior populations. The fourth category includes foods with advanced glycation end products, AGEs. These compounds form when proteins or fats combine with sugars in the bloodstream, a process called glycation. AGEs can also form in foods, particularly those that are grilled, fried, or baked at high temperatures. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at eliminating AGEs, allowing them to accumulate and cause oxidative stress and inflammation. Finally, we have to discuss sodium, not just table salt, but the hidden sodium in processed foods. While sodium is an essential nutrient, the amounts found in modern processed foods far exceed what our bodies need. Excessive sodium intake is particularly problematic for seniors, contributing to hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and even cognitive decline. The relationship between sodium and aging is particularly complex. As we age, our kidneys become less efficient at filtering sodium from the bloodstream. Simultaneously, our blood vessels lose elasticity, making them more sensitive to sodium's effects. The truly alarming part? These ingredients don't just appear in obvious processed foods. They've infiltrated products specifically marketed to seniors as health-promoting options. The senior nutrition shake recommended by doctors might be loaded with artificial sweeteners and refined sugars. The heart-healthy frozen dinner might contain harmful oils and excessive sodium. The digestive health crackers might be made with refined white flour that spikes blood sugar. I recently examined the ingredient list of a popular nutrition shake marketed specifically to seniors as a complete meal replacement with added vitamins and minerals to support healthy aging. The first ingredient was water, which seemed promising, but the second? Corn maltodextrin, a highly processed carbohydrate that spikes blood sugar even more dramatically than table sugar. Following that was vegetable oil, sugar, and artificial flavor. The vitamins and minerals prominently advertised on the front of the package were actually the last ingredients on the list, added in minimal amounts primarily so they could be featured in marketing claims. This pattern repeats across countless products designed for older adults. Take senior multivitamins, for instance. Many contain artificial colors, fillers, and even talc, ingredients that offer no nutritional benefit and may potentially cause harm. Or consider the fiber supplements marketed for digestive health that contain artificial sweeteners known to disrupt gut bacteria, essentially working against the very problem they claim to solve. The marketing tactics used to sell these products to vulnerable seniors are particularly troubling. Commercials feature vibrant, older adults living active lifestyles, with the not-so-subtle implication that the advertised food product is partly responsible for their vitality. Medical-sounding terms like clinically formulated and doctor-recommended lend an air of authority that makes questioning these products seem almost foolish. Who are we to doubt something clinically proven? What's more, the food industry has infiltrated nutrition education for healthcare professionals. Many doctors and dietitians receive minimal training in nutrition during their formal education, often just a course or two. Much of their continuing education on nutritional topics comes from industry prompts in seminars and materials, creating an echo chamber where problematic ingredients are normalized or their effects minimized. Now that we understand what these harmful ingredients are, let's examine their real-world consequences, especially for our senior population. The most immediate impact often appears in digestive health. Many seniors attribute their digestive discomfort to normal aging, not realizing that the foods they're consuming are the real culprits. Bloating, irregular bowel movements, reflux, and general digestive discomfort are often direct results of consuming these problematic foods. Mary, a 72-year-old retired teacher, suffered from chronic digestive issues for years. Doctors prescribed various medications, but the problems persisted. It wasn't until she eliminated ultra-processed foods and artificial sweeteners from her diet that she experienced relief. I had accepted that digestive problems were just part of getting older, she shared. I had no idea my healthy breakfast cereal and sugar-free yogurt were actually causing the problem. Beyond digestive issues, these foods have been linked to accelerated cognitive decline. The brain is particularly vulnerable to inflammation and oxidative stress, and the blood-brain barrier becomes more permeable with age. This allows inflammatory compounds from problematic foods to access brain tissue more easily, potentially accelerating conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Cardiovascular health is another area severely impacted by these foods. The refined carbohydrates, harmful oils, and excessive sodium create a perfect storm for heart disease, stroke, and hypertension, all leading causes of death and disability among seniors. Perhaps most concerning is how these foods affect the immune system. As we age, our immune function naturally declines, a condition known as immunosenescence. The problematic ingredients we've discussed can further compromise immune function, making seniors more vulnerable to infections, prolonging recovery times, and potentially reducing the effectiveness of vaccinations. The impact isn't limited to physical health. There's growing evidence linking these food ingredients to mood disorders and mental health issues. Depression and anxiety among seniors might not just be responses to life circumstances or neurochemical changes, they could be directly influenced by dietary choices. And for younger viewers, the message is equally important. These effects accumulate over time. The choices you make today lay the groundwork for your health decades from now. Prevention is always easier than treatment. So what can we do about it? The good news is that simple dietary changes can make a profound difference, and it's never too late to start. Let's begin with practical alternatives to the problematic foods we've identified. Instead of refined carbohydrates like white bread, pasta, and processed breakfast cereals, opt for truly whole grain options where the first ingredient listed is whole grain with no added sugars. Better yet, choose naturally gluten-free whole grains like quinoa, buckwheat, and brown rice, which generally cause less inflammation. For those who enjoy baked goods and sweets, consider natural sweeteners like raw honey or maple syrup used sparingly, rather than artificial sweeteners or high fructose corn syrup. Though all sweeteners should be consumed in moderation, natural options typically cause less metabolic disruption than their artificial counterparts. When it comes to fats and oils, make the switch from industrially processed vegetable oils to healthier options like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, and small amounts of grass-fed butter or ghee. These fats support brain health and reduce inflammation rather than promoting it. For protein sources, prioritize clean, minimally processed options. Choose wild-caught fish, pasture-raised eggs, and grass-fed meats when possible. Plant-based proteins like legumes, nuts, and seeds provide excellent nutrition without the potential harms of highly processed meat alternatives. Addressing sodium concerns doesn't mean food has to be bland. Replace salt with flavor-enhancing herbs and spices, which not only reduce sodium intake, but actually provide additional health benefits. Turmeric, ginger, oregano, and rosemary, for example, all have anti-inflammatory properties. Perhaps the most important strategy is to dramatically reduce consumption of ultra-processed foods in general. A good rule of thumb: if it comes in a package with more than 5 ingredients, particularly ones that are difficult to pronounce or recognize, it's best avoided or used sparingly. Reading food labels becomes crucial in this journey, but it can be confusing. Here's a simplified approach to navigating the grocery store. Spend most of your shopping time in the perimeter of the store where fresh produce, meats, and dairy are typically located. When evaluating packaged foods, look beyond marketing claims on the front of the package. Go straight to the ingredient list. Ingredients are listed in order of quantity, so the first few ingredients make up the majority of the product. Now let's talk about implementation strategies, because knowing what to do is only half the battle. Successfully making these changes in real life is where many people struggle. First, consider adopting a gradual approach rather than attempting a complete dietary overhaul overnight. Start by replacing just one problematic food category at a time. Perhaps begin with eliminating artificial sweeteners, then move on to refined grains, then address vegetable oils, and so on. This gradual approach is more sustainable and less overwhelming. For those caring for elderly parents or grandparents, recognize that changing lifelong habits can be particularly challenging for seniors. Approach the subject with compassion rather than judgment. Instead of focusing on eliminating bad foods, emphasize adding in delicious, nutritious alternatives. Prepare familiar recipes using healthier ingredients. For instance, making a beloved pasta dish with lentil pasta instead of wheat, or preparing a favorite dessert with natural sweeteners. There's also an important psychological dimension to consider. Food represents far more than mere nutrition, especially for older generations. Many seniors grew up in eras where food scarcity was a real concern. During the Great Depression, wartime rationing, or economic hardships, food choices can be deeply tied to emotions, memories, cultural identity, and feelings of security. When we suggest changing these deeply ingrained patterns, we may inadvertently trigger resistance that goes far beyond simple food preferences. Consider my experience with Frank, an 88-year-old widower who was diagnosed with prediabetes. When I suggested modifications to his diet, he became uncharacteristically angry. "These foods got me through 88 years of life," he said firmly. Through gentle conversation, I learned that the white bread he ate daily was the same brand his mother had purchased during his childhood. Each morning when he toasted a slice, he was not just having breakfast, he was reconnecting with comforting memories of his mother's kitchen. For Frank, giving up that specific bread felt like losing a connection to his past. The solution wasn't to force Frank to abandon this meaningful ritual, but to work with him to find a compromise. We found a lower glycemic bread made with sprouted grains that, when toasted, provided a similar sensory experience. We paired it with protein and healthy fat to blunt the blood sugar response. This approach honored both his emotional needs and his health requirements. This story illustrates an important principle. Dietary changes for seniors must acknowledge and respect the powerful emotional and cultural dimensions of food choices. Success comes not from imposing abstract nutritional ideals, but from finding thoughtful adaptations that preserve meaning while improving health outcomes. For seniors who may have limited energy for cooking or shopping, consider meal delivery services that focus on whole, unprocessed foods, community programs that provide nutritious options, and enlisting family members to help with grocery shopping and meal prep. Remember that nutrition is not just about the foods themselves, but also about the social and emotional aspects of eating. For many seniors, mealtimes are important social occasions, and dramatic dietary changes can feel isolating. Finding ways to maintain the joy and connection of shared meals while improving nutritional quality is essential. Hydration also plays a crucial role in this dietary transition. Many seniors are chronically dehydrated, which can exacerbate the negative effects of poor diet and even mimic symptoms of dementia. Replacing sugar-sweetened beverages and artificially sweetened drinks with water, herbal teas, or water infused with fresh fruits can make a significant difference in overall health. Let's look at some success stories from people who have made these changes and experienced remarkable improvements in their health and quality of life. Robert, age 82, had been on multiple medications for diabetes, high blood pressure, and acid reflux for over a decade. His doctors told him this was simply part of aging. When his granddaughter, a nutrition student, helped him eliminate ultra-processed foods and refined carbohydrates from his diet, the results were dramatic. Within 3 months, his blood sugar stabilized, his blood pressure improved, and his reflux symptoms virtually disappeared. His doctor was able to reduce his medication significantly. "I feel better now than I did 10 years ago," Robert reports. "I have more energy, I sleep better, and I can keep up with my grandkids again." Then there's Anita, 67, who had been experiencing increasing memory concerns and brain fog. After learning about the connection between certain food additives and cognitive function, she eliminated artificial sweeteners and processed foods from her diet. The difference was noticeable within weeks, she says. "My thinking is clearer, I can remember names again, and that constant haziness is gone." My friends have all commented on the change. For younger viewers, consider James's story. At 41, he wasn't experiencing acute health problems, but he had watched his father develop serious health issues in his 60s and wanted to avoid the same fate. After learning about the cumulative effects of these problematic foods, he made gradual changes to his diet, eliminating the worst offenders and adopting more whole, unprocessed foods. 2 years later, his routine blood work showed remarkable improvements in inflammatory markers, cholesterol levels, and blood sugar regulation. "I'm investing in my future," James explains. "I want to be hiking and playing with my grandkids when I'm 80, not managing multiple health conditions." These stories highlight an important truth. It's never too early or too late to make positive changes. The body has a remarkable capacity for healing at any age when given the proper tools. As we bring this discussion to a close, let's recap what we've learned about these foods. That 93% of seniors consume daily without realizing the danger. Ultra-processed foods, artificial sweeteners, refined carbohydrates, harmful vegetable oils, and excessive sodium are silently damaging health across all age groups, with seniors being particularly vulnerable due to age changes in metabolism and immune function. These ingredients are often disguised in products marketed as healthy options, making them difficult to identify without careful label reading and awareness. The consequences range from digestive issues and inflammation to accelerated cognitive decline and compromised immune function, affecting quality of life and independence for millions of seniors. Simple dietary changes, implemented gradually and compassionately, can reverse many of these effects and prevent further damage, regardless of your current age or health status. The key message is one of empowerment, not fear. You now have information that food manufacturers and many health professionals don't readily share. With this knowledge, you can make informed choices for yourself and your loved ones. I encourage you to begin implementing these changes today, starting small if necessary. Pay attention to how different foods make you feel. Share this information with friends and family members who might benefit from it. And remember that each healthy choice you make is an investment in your future quality of life. This is about reclaiming control over your health destiny. The food industry has prioritized profit over your well-being for decades, but you have the power to opt out of that system. Every time you choose whole, unprocessed foods over their industrialized counterparts, you're voting for a healthier future, not just for yourself, but for everyone you influence with your choices and knowledge. Together, we can create a movement that demands better food options, more transparent labeling, and honest nutrition information. The health of future generations depends on the changes we make today. If you found this information valuable, please share it with others who might benefit. Subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based health information that goes beyond the conventional wisdom, and leave a comment below sharing your own experiences with food sensitivities or health improvements after dietary changes. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to begin their own journey to better health. Thank you for taking the time to learn about this crucial topic. Here's to your health, vitality, and longevity at any age.